Hi there everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be playing with some halo lights, and if you're unfamiliar with the halo lights, I love to play with them. This is what the package looks like. These are so much fun to kind of mix and match with different things and different ways to use them. And then we're going to bring in these sparklets. These are crystal stars. I also have the Simon Says Stamp Dude, and then this stamp set, Emphatic, is retired. But I'll try and link something similar. And we are going to be using some sentiment stock from Pearblossom Press. You know, I love this stuff, you guys. Fabulous for embossed sentiments on black cardstock. And we're going to be playing with alcohol inks, if you hadn't guessed that by now. So I'm getting all of my bottles ready. It has been a minute since I have played with alcohol inks. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to just shake off the dust a little bit on myself and remember how to do it. So I have not only some 5x7 Yupo paper, which is like a plastic paper. I also have 3 different colors. We're using some mined alloy, which using the mined or the alloys is, kind of a challenge in itself, just kind of trying to work it and get it to do what you want it to do. But the other colors are peach, bellini, and patina. And I'm going to keep those fairly separate because if you kind of mix those together, they will make more of a brown since they are complementary colors on the spectrum of color. But I really wanted them, so we're going to work with it. I'm going to stick with the patina on more of that upper right hand side, and the peach bellini more on the lower left. And I'm going to apologize for that light that is shining through from my window. It's funny, as I was playing, I couldn't see it, but as I'm editing, obviously, it's pretty prominent there. So I do apologize that that is there. This is a room full of windows. It is gorgeous and wonderful for creating because you have so much natural light. But I don't have any curtains for these because we are a military family. We move around a lot. So if I bought curtains for every house I've lived in, I would have so much money invested in curtains it wouldn't be funny. So I don't have the money to invest in curtains for the amount of windows I have in this room. So bear with me. I do apologize. All right, so as you can see, what I'm doing is I am using an alcohol ink blower. The blending solution is the clear solution that you see me using from time to time. I will put that down sometimes first. At least that's what I did in the beginning. I put that down as kind of like something to keep the liquid very liquidy and move it around a little bit easier. And then you'll notice that sometimes I'm just bringing in that blending solution and putting it right on top of where I've just stuck down some color. That just helps it move a little bit more and dilutes it a little bit as well. And what I've noticed with alcohol inks and Yupo paper and all the fun stuff there is that if you don't like it, just pour more on and play around. I did want a little bit of white space in certain areas, so I'm kind of keeping some of that available, but I'm having a lot of fun just sticking down color and blowing it around and kind of just seeing what I get. And another neat thing about it is you'll never get the same thing. So we're just playing and we're having a good time, and I end up really, really loving the end result. It's a lot different than what I thought in my head, but I really, really like it, and I'm happy with this color combo that I chose. We'll just kind of blow around a little bit. And it will take a second to dry. Because this is plastic paper, you really don't want to take a heat tool to this. That is not my recommendation. A hair dryer would probably be fine as long as you have it on a low setting, but you could melt your paper or warp your paper, and that is the last thing I want to do when using this. So I'm getting to that point where I'm just about done, and as my stepdad says, I think you're overworking it, and sometimes he's absolutely right. In this case, I think I was getting to that point, and his voice was in my head. So I end up stopping here in a second, but I love, love, love making backgrounds, and making alcohol ink backgrounds is probably on the top of my list. I don't do it near enough. Okay, so I'm going to close up all of my lids, and we're going to set this off to the side to dry a little bit. But I am so happy with that. That is so, so pretty. Ugh. Okay, we'll move on to doing some die cutting. So once again, that is the Simon Says Stamp Dude die. That is still available, so I will have that linked down below. I cut out the shadow using some vellum, and then the word dude I cut out of some of that sentiment stock sentiment cardstock from Pearblossom Press. It's just such a beautiful black, and it is, yeah, it's so smooth that it works beautifully with embossing. So I have another piece of it up there. I used an anti-static powder tool on it. I'm going to stamp that using some embossing ink, and then I'll cover that with some white embossing powder and make a mess in the process, as you can see. But I'll heat set that with my heat tool, and you'll know that that's good because it'll go from like a matte finish to a shiny finish. At least this particular embossing powder will do that. And then I'm going to trim this sentiment down. So I'm just going to make sure that's nice and straight on the one end, and then I'll trim it down on this end, and I'm using my guillotine trimmer. I love my guillotine trimmer. It's pretty sturdy too. It's fallen on the ground quite a few times. And then I'm going to bring in this My Favorite Things. It's a circle die. It does have some stitching edge to it, which you can sort of see there. But I've cut that through, and then I'm going to bring in the halo light. Just pop it out. Don't be afraid. You're not going to break it as long as you don't like smash it. And as I said, this is going to be a 5x7. So I did trim down my Yupo paper just a little bit. We're going to have a white edge on the left and right hand side. And then there are a couple different ways that you can attach down or discover where you're going to attach down your halo light. You could very easily just draw a line with your pencil through the circle, you know, what we've already die cut, but I'm going to take some mint tape and I am going to wrap it around. So you'll see what I'm doing. I'll stick it to my halo light, and then I'll pick that up ever so carefully and wrap the mint tape around. It's not super tight. This is obviously a very lightweight tape. And then what I'm going to do is bring in liquid glue. I like using the liquid glue because it does give me a little bit of wiggle room. And then that way, if I don't get it down exactly in the place I want it, I can kind of move it just a little bit. I have a few seconds to do that. So now we've attached that. We'll peel off that mint tape and then pull that out of there. And it is going to be exactly where we need it to be. And then I'm going to carefully pull out that paper. We're going to save that little piece of paper there to pop in there if we want to send this through the mail. I'm going to bring in the My Favorite Things Interactive Labels stamp set, and I do have some StazOn ink. I thought I would go ahead and try to stamp down the word push. I'm marking it with a pencil where I would need to stamp it, and so I didn't realize my StazOn needed to be inked up a little bit better, you know, re-inked. So I stamp it once, stamp it twice, don't love it, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to cover that up with some more of our sentiment stock and some... I'll stamp the word using, you know, the same process we did for our other sentiment. And I stamped the word pull on the piece of paper that we pulled out of our, excuse me, our battery. All right, and then I'm bringing in some Hefty Doodle foam tape. This is a little bit thicker than your traditional foam tape. If you wanted to use like a regular foam tape, you would have to double it up. But this stuff is just thick enough that you don't need to double it up. So I like using this for my shakers and also especially for my light up cards. So I'll peel off all that release paper on the back of the foam tape, and then we can just attach down our panel right on top of that. And everything still works beautifully. Now I'm going to think about how we're going to put Dude on there. And I've decided to bring in some Trinity Stamps foam adhesive strips. So if we peel off the release paper on both the front and back, or I guess it's only on the one side, you can manipulate this foam tape to do exactly what you want it to do. It's thin enough or small enough or whatever you want to call it. And then I'll just put it on those places that are going to pop through or stick through our circle. Just making sure everything is good. There I've made the word or stamped the word push on some more of that sentiment stock, and then we'll trim that down and we can attach it over what we stamped. My point in that is don't stress it. Don't stress it. You can always cover it. I mean, I'm telling you, this is supposed to be fun. This is not meant to stress us out. It's a handmade card. If you wanted perfection, you'd go buy one, right? And there's something to sending someone a handmade card. Sending anyone a card lets you know you're thinking of them, but when you send a handmade card, I think that's just a whole nother level, right? All right, so we've used some glue to adhere everything down, and I love it. And then we do need to stamp on the inside. Boy, that light is bugging me. So I'm bringing in that emphatic stamp set. I'll try to find something similar and link that down below. And I also put down our little sparkly crystal stars. I love how this card turned out. I'm so happy with it, and I hope you like it too. If you do, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you soon in another video. Bye, everybody.